So I dug into this hive today because I've been getting stung by the bees in this hive a lot lately for the past week or so. Just walking by and one comes out and stings me in the face. And it's happened twice already and it's not fun. So I decided to dig into it today just to see what was going on, because usually that happens when the queen is failing or something wrong is going on inside the hive, something that's just not right. This queen was slowing down. It didn't come out of the spring very strong, so I thought she was just failing. Her brood pattern was just a mess and it just didn't look good. So I looked inside today thinking, okay, she's failing and they're just a little bit antsy because they're creating some supersedure cells or whatever. But they're not. They're on the verge of swarming. I found a couple of swarm cells in the making. So I said, shoot. So I quickly just started building another hive, and I've split half the brood. Tons and tons of brood. This queen is still laying fresh eggs even today. But I put a lot of the brood down in this box, a lot of open brood and cap brood in this box. And then I've moved the other half over here. Lots of cap brood, and here lots of fresh brood. You can see, I don't know if this is coming through in the camera. So this queen, she's getting ready to swarm. She's not that ready because she's still there's like 2-day-old brood in there, maybe even a day old. So I'm giving them open brood. That's at least one good frame of open brood right there, and there's another frame in there. And I know these ones have some open brood. So I couldn't find the queen. I think she's marked, but I still couldn't find her. Anyhow, so I just had to on the spot make a split because I don't have any more boxes to put on the hives. I got to go build some more boxes and more frames. I had totally 100% did not anticipate this. I thought she was failing, and I thought they were just replacing the queen, and they were just getting a little antsy. And I was actually just going to take these bees and combine them with one of my other colonies. But clearly that's not the case. That queen has caught up since the last time I checked on her, about 10 days ago. And it's just packed with brood everywhere. Tons and tons of cap brood. I've got two full mediums of cap brood. I'd say that's, I don't know how many frames, how many bees that is. That's boop. I'll just do the calculations later and pop it up on the screen. But 20 frames, that's a lot of bees, and they're ready to explode. There is a little bit of a drawn comb for the queen to lay, but clearly not enough, and there's so much resources coming in that they just want to swarm, it seems, no matter what. So that's funny. I was reading, sometimes this happens. You look at a colony and they think, wow, they're just slowing down, they're not doing well. But sometimes that slowing down, where it looks like they're failing or something's going on, is actually the queen or the bees preparing the queen for a swarm. They chase after the queen and they trim her down so that she's nice and light for her swarming flight. And while that's going on, things get a little wonky. You don't see as much of the normal activity outside the hive. And I'm just sweating like a dog right now. This is just something I've had to do in the split second here. What am I going to do? So I'm a little bit, discombobulated. So anyway, I don't know where the queen is, but I know this half has cap brood and this half has cap brood, and basically I created a split. I would have liked to have taken the queen. I hope the queen's over here. This would be even better, because if the queen isn't in this hive and they got some open fresh brood and all the anyway, it's not exactly an artificial swarm I've created here, but it's close enough, and it's as close as I can do it on my own. Anyway, this is what I did today, and just totally unexpected, but it's making me think that I really need to stay on top of these bees this year. I got to start building a lot more boxes, get a lot more frames ready, and just get ready to pile on the frames to give these colonies room to grow, because they're just growing so fast. I don't think I've seen anything like this since I started beekeeping in 2010. Anyway, so I've got these frames. I got 3 more frames of cap brood to put in there, and I've got this one frame that the bees aren't building on. It's a piece of plastic frame that doesn't have any wax on it, and they just seem to not want to work on it. So I'm just going to toss that, and then I'm going to go in my garage and build at least one more box for that hive, and at least one more box for that hive. And sooner or later, I'm going to get one of them is going to create a queen. I don't know which half, because I don't know which half has the queen, but whichever half doesn't have the queen, they've got their open brood and they'll create a queen. So I'll check on that next week, find out where the queen is, and hoo-hee. I am cooking. The main reason I dug into this colony was so that I could figure out what was going on, why they were so testy, why I was getting stung every time I walked past this hive. And maybe that's a thing. Maybe I used to think that was just like there's something wrong, the queen is failing, whatever. But man, there's brood and capped and open brood all over the place. So that wasn't the problem. It must have just been the swarming. They're getting ready to swarm or something, and swarming maybe makes some of the bees a little testy. And I got one right here flying in front, and you can really tell the nasty ones, the ones that are out to get you, because they got a higher pitched buzz to them, and they fly a little bit more like a wasp than a regular bee. Because the regular bee just has some sort of like a hums like this, but the ones that are not in a good mood and they're looking to sting you or whatever, they got bzzz like that, right? There's a real distinct difference. Anyhow, I got to put this hive back together. Whew! Let's see if you can see these. See that? There you go. Those are fresh eggs. Those were laid today. So I don't know if they're trimming this queen down and getting her ready for a swarming flight. They're not doing a good job, because she's just putting up a fight. She's laying all over the place. It's just sort of kind of crazy. So yeah, I totally misread these bees. Just did not think they were anywhere close to swarming, and that's right on the verge. The first thing I did find when I did open the hive, though, I found a swarm cell. And it was the queen cup on the very bottom of the frame, and so I looked inside, like I do with most of the queen cups when I find a queen cup, and there was an egg in there, but there were 2 eggs in there, which made me think, oh crap, I've got a laying worker, which is because a laying worker, when they start laying, or when they're laying, they don't know what they're doing, and they often lay multiple eggs, and they're all out of shape, and they're all bent the wrong way, and all this sort of stuff. So that's first what I thought. I said, oh crap, either the queen is all out of whack, or I've got a laying worker, or something's going on. And so I looked around, and I found another swarm cell, and I looked inside, and it was all gooey, and I said, oh man, this is nuts. So then I looked around more, and I found eggs, but all the eggs, the fresh eggs, were laid perfectly. So, and they were laid today. So I'm not sure what's going on with that, that funky 2-egg swarm cell. It could have been that maybe they're starting to trim the queen down, and maybe just that pestering of the queen is causing her to just lay a few funky eggs, a couple double eggers in the cells or whatever. I don't know. But I thought it was... First I thought, okay, that's what it is. I've got some funky thing going on like this. The queen is failing or whatever. And but that's not the case. She's laying like crazy. So yeah, I totally misread this hive. And now, considering that I thought this one was failing and it's actually swarming, kind of makes me think I got to check all my other colonies as soon as possible. Within 8 days of the last time I inspected them, just to see if there's any swarm cells on the go, because just like it looks like reading them from the outside just isn't working for me. I'm usually pretty good at that. I can usually say, okay, they're okay, and judging from what I saw earlier in this colony, a couple of weeks ago, it just did not seem that queen was performing at all, but she is. So anyway, I'm going to take a look inside. I'm going to go build some boxes. They need at least, they need tons of boxes. If half that colony is capped brood, then it's going to fill up real fast. This colony might need that brood, so I might actually pull some of that brood and put it over here, but it's so hard to know what to do, because if I can't spot the queen, I don't want to accidentally move that queen over to a colony that already has a queen, so it can get a little funky sometimes. Hoo-wee! Okay, it's a couple hours later, and I've built, I cut down a deep down to a medium, and I filled it up with some new frames, and the frames have plastic foundation with lots of wax on them, and I pulled up a few frames from that medium to this top medium now, just to bait it, so that to encourage them to work on it. And then we'll see what happens. All the foragers, this is the original location, so all the foragers have come back to this location. So this colony is packed with bees right now, and they're definitely a little testy. I did the same thing. I gave them a medium, and there's definitely all the mean bees that are coming out of that hive, but that doesn't necessarily mean the queen isn't there. It's hard to say because I think they're all just the foragers are just not in a good mood. And most of the time I don't have to use my smoker, but for this kind of thing, especially with the bees in a really testy, stingy mood, the smoker comes out. I don't think I could do it without the smoker. I tried to get by with just the spray bottle. It's just water with a slightly sweetened water with maybe some anise or some lemongrass oil, and that just didn't cut it, so I had to use the smoke. I didn't use a lot of smoke, but still the smoke is sometimes more effective on the defensive bees than the spray. So I'm using the smoke. So anyway, I'll come back here today's Thursday, so I'll probably check them next weekend, and we'll find out who has the queen and who doesn't, and who doesn't should have some emergency queen cells. And they both have fresh brood to make those queen cells, so it should be all right. In a couple of weeks too, once they've settled out and the colony that's created its new queen gets going, if it turns out to be this one, which is not the original location, I might take it once it's established and move it back to the original location so that they'll absorb all the foragers from the original colony and maybe get a boost. Or I could just put some more brood in there, but we'll see. This is how I put my smoker out. Sometimes I just let it burn, but I go shoot, dump it all out in grass, something that's not green grass. Then I stamp it out. And whatever's left, I just leave it there, let it burn out, call it a day. That looks like a lot of smoke, but it's just smoke in the sunbeams. Okay, so it's been about a week since I split this hive. Basically did a walk-away split. They were on the verge of swarming. They were starting to create swarm cells. And I destroyed the swarm cells. And I didn't need to do that, but I did, and I won't get into why I did that. Basically, I panicked. And so I took half the resources from this 4 medium hive, and I split them 50% over there and 50% over here, and I made sure to include fresh open brood in both of those splits. And basically it's a walk-away split. I didn't know where the queen went. I don't know if the queen is here or if she went over here with all the brood, or if she stayed here. I hope she actually went over here because she's laying eggs, and all the foragers, most of the foragers would return to the original hive location, so the population is low in this colony or in this hive because they lose all their foragers. And if they have a queen though, that'll help, right? So hopefully that's what I'll find, and we'll see. And if the queen is over here, then it'll sort of be like an artificial swarm. They'll think, because if this queen swarmed into a new location, into a new hive or whatever, she wouldn't have many bees, and there would be it would be more space and blah blah blah. It would be just kind of like what they've got right now. And the same thing with these bees. If their queen swarmed, if the queen is actually over there, then to them the swarm has happened and they're done. And they've created swarm cells, or emergency queen cells, I should say, and they're off to the business to making a new queen and getting on with a new colony. And hopefully I've prevented a swarm from happening. And I really hope so, because over these trees is my neighbor's house, and they have little kids who freak out over bees, and I just cannot deal with that. So anyway, we're going to dig into this, and hopefully I find some swarm cells in this one, or some emergency queen cells in this one, and this one's just off to the races and feeling okay. I'm going to check out this hive first, only because I know there's less bees in it, so it might be easier to handle. This colony was definitely defensive and twitchy. Had a couple of mean bees always just trying to sting me before I inspected them last week. So I hope I don't find that this today. All right, It's not the warmest day, and the sun is coming and going. And when the sun goes behind a cloud, it gets cold. So it's not the best day to do this, so I'm going to be very quick. I'll try to be quick. And look at the slugs that are inside the top of this hive. I was just using a bottom board as a top cover, and it's just disgusting. I've got a solution to that. I don't know if it hurts the hives or the bees, but I've got a solution to that I'm gonna, well, try to implement soon. And I've only got water. I don't have any. There's no sweetened water in this. There. So this top frame, I think, might just be brood, but I'm not sure. They're really not doing anything in this top box, of course, because they've got no bees. I just hope they're really nice, because I don't have any, just looking for fresh brood here. And there's none. No, it's just pollen. So this probably wasn't, I probably just lifted this frame just to get them to get up here and do stuff, but there's no, I didn't pull up any brood. So all the brood is in the bottom. I think in the bottom box, or maybe the second box, I don't know, we'll see. So far they don't seem too mean. And I've got some foundation over here, and they're obviously not touching it because all their foragers are gone. Well, the bees aren't stinging, so it makes me think that they've either got the queen or they've got queen cells that are making them happy. So but look at this though. Let's see, are they drawing comb on this? No, I thought they might have been drawing comb on this foundation that I waxed, but they're not. I just don't think they're in comb building mode right now. They're probably more concerned with just building up their queen or whatever. They're in the middle of a big move. They're the transitional period for these bees. Alright, let's see if we got anything here. There's no fresh brood. They're bringing in fresh pollen though. Take another look. There was some capped brood on there and it's hatched out, but there's no fresh brood. Alright, this is a frame of capped brood. Again, they're not. Oh, there it is. So this one doesn't have the queen, so it's too bad. I might switch these. See this? Right here. See if you can see this. This is an emergency queen cell. So they don't have a queen. So because they don't have the queen, I might actually just pick this whole hive up and move it to the old location so that they can inherit all the foragers, because they won't build up as quickly without those foragers. Let's see if we can find another. Yeah, see, they're backfilling the brood nest, or at least where the brood used to be. So this is where the queen is. Good enough. It's not what I wanted. I'd rather the queen was in the other location, the original location, because now without the foragers, they're definitely going to be even slower, even more slower to build up. I'm just going to see if I can find another emergency queen cell. Not yet. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So they're doing what they need to do, right? So there's a big one there, and a small one. Hopefully that big one looks, that's promising. Bigger is better. Yeah. There's another one. See that? It's a small one, but it's there. See that? And there's two more right here. So that's good. And that's because they have fresh brood in there. I don't know, and I don't need to check anymore because who cares? They're making their own queen, and that's it. So I'll check my dates later, and I'll figure out when those queens are going to hatch out. So that's cool. So this is going to get the new number. This is going to be this will be queen number 18. Is living right here when she emerges. I'll just pop some dates on the screen right now. So I split this hive, and they started to create their queen on this date. So, queen number 18. I don't have 18 queens, but this is just the number that I've got from my keychain package. Queen number 18 is going to emerge on that date. So we'll see what happens. Theoretically, she should. And I will take a quick look at the original colony, which is here. I am very, very tempted to take that queenless hive right now with a bunch of queen cells and move it to this location so that they at least inherit all those drones, all those foragers. And this one will lose their foragers, but with the queen already laying eggs and emerging brood and all that jazz, they'll have a better chance. So I'll think about that. But anyway, so there you go. Walk-away split so far is doing what it's supposed to be doing. The half that didn't have a queen is making a queen. Yay! See, some of the cap brood that I had in here has emerged. There's a fair number of bees in this. Not a huge lot, but you know, not bad for a colony that's lost all its foragers. Yeah, I still have some cap brood in there. That's oh crap! I also see some fresh brood. I really calculated wrong, but the queen has already emerged. Look, I don't know. Whoa. Ooh-wee. Okay. That's a queen cell that's been torn open. There's a queen cell that's been torn open. Well, so they got a queen. Getting the queen out of this, but look, there's the fresh brood already. See that? And that stuff is like, that's about 3 days old. They're bringing in nectar, and they're calm. They're not defensive. Could a laying worker cause them to destroy the queen cells? You never know exactly what they're going to do. They're filling these frames up with nectar, and I found one frame with fresh brood that's probably 3 days old, 3 or 4 days old. It's got no the grub is nice and big, and it's eaten up all its royal jelly. And there's no queen here. There's fresh brood here. Well, let's say open brood. We'll call it open brood. I'm just gonna see it. So there's no queen. Oh, there she is. Got her. So there's the queen right there on the bottom of the frame. Right there, she's on the edge. I don't know if I'll just crop in later. So she's a little bit stubby. She's a virgin. Wow. She hasn't mated yet. She's doing her thing. I'll crop in later and you can see, but here, she's right here. She's scooting around. All right, I'm gonna leave them alone. So they got a queen. Good enough. So I split this colony bloop, on that date, which was bloop, that many days ago, and I put them in, I put that split right here. The original queen stayed there. They created swarm cells and had them capped within 8 days. I guess they sometimes cap, this is where I got it wrong. So if it's 3 or 4, if I was 3 days off, if they actually prefer to work with 3 to 4 day old brood, then yeah, then the earliest they would have emerged would be Monday, I think. Anyway, and now this is a great learning experience for me because, yeah, I usually don't care about the exact dates because I just don't really care most of the time. I don't need to. I just say, okay, well, here's the split. They're going to have a queen by this date. And my date was off by 3 days. So it's true. Sometimes I used to think that they would make queen cells out of absolutely fresh cells, but I guess they don't. And I guess that makes sense too. I guess they would go with the older eggs that have already been fed and they know they're already developing. Whereas if they start with a fresh egg, they don't know how well they're developing. So I guess that makes sense. I don't know. Anyhow, I got a new queen. Okay, so I don't know how long it's been since I checked on this hive, which might be queen number 18 once we see what's going on. But I noticed the queen had emerged on whatever date it was. Blink, just put that on the screen. And so I left him alone just to see, just to give her some chance to mate and start laying and blah blah blah. And so I'm going to just take a quick check today to see if I find any fresh brood and see if I can find the queen, and if I can, I'm going to mark her with this little doodad. So I'm doing this today with a long sleeve t-shirt and no gloves and basically just a veil. And there's what I'm wearing. And let's just see what happens. When there's not many bees in the hive and they've got a nice queen that's keeping them happy, they're usually not too bad, too hard to deal with. It's a little bit chilly right now. Not chilly, but it's not as warm as I'd hoped. But you can see right over the inner cover already, they're building fresh comb. They're filling in that extra space that I've given them. So anyway, I don't want to be messing with them. I just want to check for the queen, so hopefully not too much going on there. And you can see too, I'm blocking the flight path, but it's not a very big hive, and it's not going to, cause a major traffic jam or anything. So you just get it done. Don't worry about it. I gotta stop. This is a homemade inner cover that I got off somebody, and it creates way too much space underneath it. And sometimes when they're in honey making mode, which all my bees seem to be in these days, oh god, yeah, this is gonna be a mess. Yeah, that's all fresh comb they built in the past week. I'm just looking to see if I can find the queen, if she happens to be here. I don't think she is. She usually scoots around, young queens do. But that's a lot of bees. And it's possible I'm going to get stung in the finger, because it is a bit chilly and it isn't too, slightly cloudy too, so they might not be too receptive to having me mess with them. If that happens, whoops, a little bit of vibration there, and if that happens, I'm out. They're just making, there's so much resources coming in right now, and by resources I mean nectar, that they can't help but make honey, even though they got a new queen who's just getting started. Yeah, this is honey and nectar, or honey and pollen. Now sometimes too, some people say that, oh yeah, they're getting, well, they're crawling on me, but they're not stinging me yet. They're bopping my hands, but they're not stinging me, so that's okay. This is a light frame, so there might be some brood on this. Oh, there she is. Right there. I'm going to mark her. She looks good. She don't look too bad. I just need to find her again. There she is. Holy mackerel. Yeah, she looks mated to me. I wish I had the sunlight shining on me, because I'd be able to see this brood a lot easier with the sun behind me. I wish I had my J-hook. Oh, my Italian hive tool, some people call it. It's just easier to handle. I'm also checking for supersedure cells, because maybe they don't like her and they're just going to replace her. I see wet cells, so wet brood cells, I mean. So I think that's okay. I think we're good. I'll take one quick look and hopefully I won't get stung. There's a lot of bees. I'm going to give them an extra box too, if I can find one. Okay, yeah, oh yeah. Can we see that? Oh, my back. I'm just twisting myself to get that shot. Right there. Maybe there's a shot of some fresh brood in there. Good enough. I'm happy. There's a lot of bees in this frame, and this is where I'm going to get stung. Yeah, they're a little slightly antsy, but they're not stinging. I think maybe they're just slightly protective of their new queen. Oh yeah, yeah. Tons of fresh brood. Good. She's made it. She's doing her thing. That's all I care about. They're saying, you know, get out of here. Okay. But, ow! One got me in the thumb. I think I got him in the thumb or her in the thumb. I think I just squished her. Oh yeah, that lemongrass smells great. So this is the frame of drawn comb that was already on the side. I'm going to put it right smack in the middle where I saw the brood, the open brood. Okay, there's a couple of them that are flying around like wasps, so that's not a good sign. That usually means they're getting defensive. Yeah. Whoop. I just wasn't comfortable with the way that thing was working, so I'm going to put her back in the hive. Alright, she's back in. But she's a big blonde queen. I'm just going to clean up this burr comb while I'm at it. The bees are crawling on my hands, but they're pretty chilled out so far. You can see they're crawling all over me, but they're not trying to sting me. That's good. I'm just going to put on a proper inner cover, and then I'm getting out of here. So they're slightly agitated. I'm just going to leave them alone, but the queen is laying, so good enough. So I just took another peek at this colony. Just want to see if the new queen is laying well. And you can see here, this is nothing but fresh brood on a frame that they haven't even completed building comb on yet. And they're a little bit antsy right now. I can tell they're definitely protective of the queen. And on the other side, exactly the same thing. And check this out. That's all fresh. That's all cap brood. That's all new cap brood. So she's been at it for a while. And she's doing good. And look down there, you can see that's all cap brood. So, and that's all cap brood. So, success.